Sonic Heroes. Sonic has already seen a...
Alright, so I'm gonna probably do the last review for today and then I'm off. So this time we're gonna react to 20 PS2 games we need on PS5 by, of course, Mojo Play. Now, I know they actually put the PS2 on the PS5 because they're actually gonna try and bring it back. One of the very classic games, of course, and they got Sly Cooper on here as well. Cause I didn't know till then. I gotta check it out just in case. So yeah, but in case you haven't noticed, I know till then, but the only reason why I want to see if they actually put most of the games on here for on a PS5 is for PS2, of course, and I want them to bring Death Chip Fight for New York because that was one of my favorite games so far, along with Death Chip Vendetta. Bring every WWE SmackDown vs. Raw games on there, along with the SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. What else? Oh, better yet, even though Cycle was on there, I hope they might add it on 2 and 3 at the same time, which I hope. Mortal Kombat, Deceptions, and Armageddon, NFL Streets 1 and 2, Backyard Wrestling 1 and 2. Of course, Virtual Fighter 4. They have to bring it on here too. Also, Capcom versus NK second. I hope they put it on there. Soul Calibur. Well, I think they already did, but I guess I was thinking Soul Calibur 3, of course. Urban Reign, Final Fight, Street Rise, Beatdown, Fist of Vengeance, and of course, I think they already got the Twisted Metal, but that's okay. But I was thinking, there's plenty of the PS2 game they might put it on the PS5, which I hope. But I'll tweak the PlayStation, if they have a request on bring back the in the PS2 games. So yeah. Oh, and of course Bloody War. I hope they might put it on there as well. So yeah. But let's check it out in 5, 4, 3, 2.
I didn't come back for you.
Welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're taking a look at 20 PS2 games that we desperately want ported over to PlayStation 5. Now that Sony has brought forward Sly Cooper, Lara Croft, and Star Wars The Clone Wars, it's time we start digging into this massive catalog from the 6th generation of console gaming. Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to Mojo Plays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Ratchet & Clank series.
Of course! I would love to play that. I would love to play that.
It's safe to assume that the Lombax and Warbot's original adventures are coming to PS5 very, very soon, now that Sly has snuck his way onto the platform. And with the Jak and Daxter franchise being available on PS4 and PS5 with some backwards compatibility, all that's left from the PS2 trio of mascots is Ratchet and Clank. The first game, going commando, up your arsenal, and deadlocked only have their PS3 HD ports playable on PS5, and it's only playable via cloud streaming, which, as most of us know, is not the most efficient way to play these games, or video games in general.
True. It's very irritating. While I had the prelims, I was gonna play one of the old games that I totally forgot about it. For the, for me to like, to catch up for knowing the old games like Ratchet and Clank and the others from the PS3, of course. But the only problem is I had to play it on the Steam on the cloud games, which was a very bad idea because as soon as you play it, the whole thing will start lagging. That's why I was hoping they probably had to upgrade it to bring it, for real this time for the PS2 games, which I hope. So now, because I understand what's their like frustration to them for wanting them to play on. For wanting to play mostly in the game, so yeah. Which I hope that might happen this year. So yeah.
That especially goes for a high-octane platformer shooter like Ratchet and Clank, and given how complex it has been for Sony to re-engineer PS3 games for modern consoles, it's unlikely that they'll bring the HD ports forward when they just figured out how to make PS2 games run on their new hardware. That said, when Ratchet and Clank make the leap to PS5, we'll probably be playing the original versions, and yes, they are still fun to play today.
The whole galaxy wants to see you. Don't you see, kid? I've been doing everything in my power to make you a star.
Ico.
Oh yeah.
Ico has not withstood the test of time. That's just the honest truth. The controls can be a tad cumbersome for some players, and the hand-holding might frustrate others. However, we are recognizing this title for its importance in the PlayStation ecosystem. Thanks to the efforts of Japan Studio and other Japanese devs, the PS2 saw a treasure trove of unique experimental games, Ico being one of them.
By the way, I hope they might bring Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3 on here as well. That way I can play the hell out of it. I just hope. And along with the Wrestling Kingdoms 1 and 2, I really hope they might bring it. Really hope so, man.
Shadow of the Colossus has already been preserved a handful of times over, but Ico, the game Colossus was tied to during the PS3 days, hasn't been preserved for the modern era. Plus, with the more accurate controls of the DualSense controller, perhaps the advancements in technology will make Ico more bearable for those who have gone back and found a poorly aged gem. Gran Turismo 4.
Also, they probably have to bring Midnight Club 2 and 3 Dub Edition remakes. Cause Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition remakes has to be one of my most favorite driving games. Me and my brother actually played it, and I really hope they might bring it, so I probably might play it again. So that's the only goal. So I'll probably have to tag it, the PlayStation, and help me out here. And well, actually I'll tweet it as well. So yeah.
In 2017, former PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan made a remark about why anyone would want to play the older Gran Turismo games, stating, quote, "They looked ancient. Why would anybody play this?" End quote. Well, Jimmy, first off, GT7 isn't like the older games in any stretch of the imagination. Take GT4 for example. Yes, it does look ancient when you're comparing it to the latest game in the franchise. However, do you know what some folks love most about video games and replaying older games in a series? It's about seeing the evolution, man. It's about seeing how far we have come since 2005 and before. That's why we need GT4, it's why we need the other Gran Turismo games. And as players rediscover unique modes like the B-Spec mode, where you get to play the role of a racing crew chief instead of the driver for a change, your developers like Polyphony can revisit old ideas or come up with new ideas for future titles. So yes, it may be old, but give us GT4 on PS5. And if not that, then give us A-Spec at least. Xenosaga series.
Ooh.
Today, JRPG developers are at the top of their game. Really, this genre has never been as big as it is in this day and age. So Bandai Namco, what is keeping you from retreading old ground? What is keeping you from reintroducing the Xenosaga games? For those who don't know about this series, we won't lie, it's about as heavy in the cutscenes as Death Stranding is. But like Gran Turismo 4 and Ico, Xenosaga kind of became synonymous with the PS2. Yes, it was because all three games were primarily PS2 games before the first two games were remade for Nintendo DS. Still, this was another series that showcased the visual and audio fidelity the console was known for at the time.
Any ideas?
And with so many new players in the JRPG scene, maybe now is a good time to see how folks today would react to a game like this. Who knows, maybe this was just the PS2's own Order 1886, and we're just too caught up in nostalgia. Twisted Metal Head-On Extra Twisted Edition.
Of course. By the way, they actually did bring the Twisted Metal Black on here already, so I guess we're gonna count it, so yeah.
Twisted Metal is in a unique position where it does have some of the public's attention thanks to the TV show and the PS4 and PS5 ports of the first two games. The first PS2 game in the franchise, Twisted Metal Black, is already available on those platforms, but the PS2 port of Head On should be brought forward for more reasons than just it's the only other Twisted Metal on PS2 that we don't have. The port not only brought a PSP classic over to home consoles, it also came with an abundance of behind-the-scenes stuff that spans the franchise's history. First, you had The Dark Past, which was a roughly 30-minute documentary featuring series creators David Jaffe and Scott Campbell, as well as other veteran devs who have worked on the games. Then you had the Sweet Tour mode, which gave us a glimpse of a cancelled Twisted Metal game while showing players concept art, photos, and models used in previous titles. And lastly, you had Twisted Metal Lost, which took 4 scrapped levels from Twisted Metal Black 2, which has long been cancelled, and made a bite-sized game out of it. Basically, this game could be used to wrangle in new fans and bring them up to speed on the IP's history, while offering them a really great port of a really great PSP game. Dragon Quest VIII: Journey of the Cursed King. Much of the Dragon Quest franchise is fragmented. As new titles come in, old ones get left behind on the platforms they launched on, and if there is one Dragon Quest game that needs to be brought forward ASAP, it's Journey of the Cursed King. With an imaginative world, captivating story, and memorable characters, Journey of the Cursed King quickly established itself as one of the greatest video games to grace the PlayStation 2. Unfortunately, the only time it has ever been re-released was when it was ported to the Nintendo 3DS back in in 2017. Square Enix, it's time we truly preserve this classic. Let's get this working on PS5, man. Bloody Roar 4.
Of course.
To ask Konami for an
Like I said, they got to bring Bloody War 3 and 4 because it's actually a very fun fighting game. But it's still forgotten because I guess, Houston saw have a bankrupt problems of it because I guess it doesn't have enough of the whole, this situation that they never focus on. So I guess they never care about it, so they decided to shut it down, the Houston Soft, and which is sad but let's say if Capcom might bring Bloody Wars as well, maybe they could bring it. If that might happen, or it could be, or Bandai Namco might, Namco might bring it as well. So only if they actually exclusive on the PS5, which I'm okay with that. So yeah.
new Bloody Roar game is like asking them for an impressive port of Metal Gear Solid. It just ain't happening. We do have some faith in the possibility of getting Bloody Roar 4 onto PS5 though, with the fighting game scene being way bigger than ever thanks to the efforts of Evo and various FGC streamers. Now would be a good time to reintroduce this IP to new audiences, and Bloody Roar 4 is the best game for the job. Both the
And they probably had to bring Tekken 5. That was the most best one so far, along with Dark Resurrection as well. So they got to bring it up. They got to bring every game on here. So yeah, so I understand that most wants to bring back the classic game instead of remaster it, which I'm okay with it. Because most people really want to bring back most of the favorite games so far. I mean, the only thing is, should it get messed up for it? Is it gonna get bugs or anything? I don't know, we'll see.
visuals and controls hold up surprisingly well despite its age, and you don't really have any other fighting games with the concept of Tekken but everyone can turn into animals. The only major hurdle is convincing Konami that they have other IP worth their attention, not just Metal Gear, Silent Hill, and Castlevania. Burnout 3 Takedown.
Ooh. Burnout 3.
One of the saddest moments of gaming history is how some IPs became homogenized and absorbed into bigger IPs, such as the case with Burnout. Once a force in EA's portfolio, the destructive arcade racer has seen its mechanics get absorbed into the Need for Speed series, which has been struggling to get a decent game out since its reboot in 2014. Perhaps more folks preferred the aggressiveness Burnout brought. So what better way to conduct that litmus test than Burnout 3 Takedown? After all, this was one of the last games in the franchise to come out before the brief pivot it made into open-world gameplay. It could remind folks what made the series great in the first place and possibly renew interest in the IP. Or, it could be brought forward to PS5 just for preservation's sake, but what do I know, EA? The Sponge...
Perhaps Hold on. Perhaps they might have to bring back the Burnout. Well, the only thing is, can they make a new ones? Or they could remaster Burnout 3 as well. Cause I haven't tried Burnout. Well, actually, I did try Burnout. I played on the demo. It was actually fun. I ain't gonna lie because there's a lot of reason about it, just in case. So yeah, but I understand that most of them that really wanted to see a lot of things, of course, just in case. So yeah, but I understand. SpongeBob SquarePants.
SpongeBob SquarePants movie game.
Wow, I forgot about it. Actually, I did play SpongeBob.
The amazing
SquarePants
Mr.
there.
Absorbency has been seeing
Battle
a
for
stellar
Bikini
resurgence into
Bottom,
video
of
games with the
course.
2020 remake of Battle for Bikini Bottom and 2023's The Cosmic Shake. If we are to get another SpongeBob game for modern consoles, we would love to see the game based on the 2004 movie make a grand return. While it wasn't as non-linear as the games before it, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game was still a blast to play in how SpongeBob and Patrick had their own movesets. These moves helped open the doors for fun puzzles and combat encounters too. And if not this, then it'd be neat to just have the original Battle for Bikini Bottom available on modern hardware.
Yeah.
Sonic Heroes! Sonic has already seen a few of his classic 3D games revamped for today's consoles. Sonic Colors Ultimate, Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. So when can we enjoy Sonic Heroes with the modern tech, huh? So many of us cherish...
You caught me off guard. And yes, I will totally play Sonic Heroes. Cause that was the first time I ever played it. That was part of my childhood. Oh my god. Yeah, they gotta bring it here.
cherished the original game for its unique mechanics and concept of controlling a trio of characters with different powers. Only problem is that the controls aren't as tight as they could be.
I'll take it from here.
Thanks to the accuracy of the DualSense controller, many action platformers such as Sly Cooper and Daxter have become even more enjoyable than they were back then. Sonic Heroes would greatly benefit from the PS5 and other platforms' capabilities. It's just a matter of hoping that Sega recognizes how many of us would love to see this game reintroduced for modern audiences.
This isn't the end!
ATV Off-Road Fury 2.
That caught me off guard, man. You gonna love me. So,
While we do have a few motocross games these days, they are rather
I
scarce
never
and
tried
way
them.
too focused on product placement than making a quality game. Looks like we need to bring forward the ATV Off-Road Fury series, specifically the second game, to show everybody how it's done. With its entertaining physics and how they play into maintaining and increasing your speed, Off-Road Fury 2 offered up dozens of hours of fun in both its campaign and multiplayer modes. There's just one issue, and that's probably preventing this game from returning. All that licensed music. But this is a Sony-published game, and the original developers, Rainbow Studios, are still around. Rainbow even spent well over a decade on THQ Nordic's MX vs. ATV series, so they have the experience. Sony's just got to figure out the costs to reinstate those music licenses, or attempt to get the music replaced with something else, just like they did with Jet Moto and Twisted Metal 2.
okay.
Metal Arms Glitch in the System.
Destroy all droids!
I never tried out that. That looks fun.
We know we've been advocating for this game a lot, like a lot. and I'm kind of at fault for that. But trust us, when we say this game is worth your attention. Metal Arms was a third-person shooter focused entirely on absurd robotic destruction. As Glitch, you'd collect various weapons that could lodge buzzsaws into enemies and incapacitate them, a rocket launcher that could turn one rocket into 3, and even a tether that would let you possess certain enemies. Plus, you had ridiculous yet cool moments like driving through scrapyards while shooting enemy vehicles and venturing through a wasteland haunted by zombie bots. It's crazy, it's hilarious, and if this somehow ever gets brought forward to PS5 in any capacity, it'll be a miracle. Sadly, it's hard to figure out who owns the IP anymore, as developer Swingin' Ape Studios shut down shortly after the game's launch.
That looks fun.
The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Cola. Must get Buzz Cola.
Much like SpongeBob,
I'm not gonna lie. The Simpsons Hit and Run probably had the most best games so far. It does remind me of the GTA, but it's still very fun to play as. And I would love to try it out, the Simpsons Hit and Runs. For my first time experience, I just really hope they might bring it in the game. Hopefully.
The Simpsons once had a storied career in video games. Unlike SpongeBob, they have been given no opportunity to bounce back. None whatsoever. And for the last several years, fans have been clamoring for Hit and Run to get ported, remade, or remastered for modern hardware. It's not hard to see why so many love this game with its fun mission structure, hilarious writing, and plethora of vehicles to unlock from the show's history.
Coming through. Out of control. Please. Don't do. Oh, out of control.
Unfortunately, the closest we've ever gotten to this game returning was when the soundtrack suddenly appeared on Spotify in 2022, only for it to become unavailable to the public roughly a month or two later. The soundtrack is available again now, but we gotta say that all this activity is pretty sus. Is something happening with Hit and Run after all? And if so, why is no one saying anything? What's going on here?
Homie, Lisa left for school without her science project. Can you get it to her?
Oh, do I have to?
You can drop it off on the way to work.
And I have to go to work?
Ape Escape 3.
What are you doing? I know.
So far, we have almost every Ape Escape on PS5. We've got the first game, the abysmal PSP remake, the Ape Academy spin-offs, and Ape Escape 2, even though it's a graphical mess on PS5. Does anyone else find it weird that Ape Escape 3 isn't available yet? One would quickly point towards the Metal Gear Solid crossover possibly forcing Sony to seek Konami's permission to re-release the game. There's just one thing. Ape Escape 3 was rated for PlayStation 4 all the way back in 2016. And this came straight from the ESRB. So, where is this thing? Maybe this was planned before Sony abandoned the PS4's now ancient PS2 emulator. Maybe the new team is reworking it with the new emulator. Who can say? But it's weird how the final game in the franchise continues to elude us while the rest of the franchise is now available. The Getaway. It was the...
Okay. I did play The Getaway. It was my first time ever playing it, but the only problem is, where the hell is the HUD? Where is it? I just don't understand why they add things up for it. I mean, I play it, but it's very difficult to play the game without the HUD maps on it. But I think I understand why I had to follow the game. I guess the whole thing is I got to like know that I'm gonna turn the signals. You see those the turning signals right behind it? Yeah, I guess that's the only thing I messed. Me and my brother actually messed things up for it before I be able to get the game for the first time. So I fucked it up. So yeah, don't hate me. I just thought about. Anyways.
Greatest game Team Soho ever developed. It was also the last game Team Soho ever developed. Not to hype it up too much, but The Getaway was one of the coolest action-adventure games we had seen on PlayStation at the time. It still holds up in some ways too, mostly in the visuals and driving. Shooting and gunplay is a different conversation, not one of the game's strongest suits, to be honest.
Charlie ain't gonna like this.
And while the script is kind of hit or miss, The Getaway was a major step forward in the types of games Sony was looking for to define the PlayStation name. You know, cinematic, movie-ish games. That said, this one is more for dorks like us who like seeing the evolution of games and the evolution of PlayStation. Time Splitters 2.
Ooh. Incoming. On your right.
Just as we were putting this video together, Taiwan's ratings board leaked information regarding the first Time Splitters coming to PS4 and PS5 in July 2024. Well, if this is Embracer Group's way of trying to keep the franchise alive after closing down Free Radical for the second time in its life, so be it. Let's go all in then and get Time Splitters 2 on PlayStation before 2024 ends.
I hope so. Maybe it'll happen here.
After all, Xbox players can already enjoy both the acclaimed sequel and the third game, Future Perfect. Plus, all three Time Splitters games were also released on PlayStation 2. So, let's not leave the Sony ponies behind, eh? This is one of the best FPS series to have come out in the early 2000s. Folks deserve to experience these games.
That reminds me of GoldenEye 007.
Silent Hill 3.
Ah.
Get the hell away from me!
You know, everyone talks about Silent Hill 2 so much, and we can understand why. But did we all forget there were 2 other games released on PlayStation 2? We would love to see Silent Hill 4 brought forward, of course. However, let's show some love for our girl Heather, huh? Silent Hill 3 was just as spectacular with its creepy environments, uncomfortable themes, and stellar sound design. We all know that James and his problems helped create one of the best stories in horror games, but let's not forget that Heather's tale is equally excellent in every way. We aren't holding our breath too much on this one either, because just like with Bloody Roar, Konami needs a lot of convincing to focus on anything that isn't Pyramid Head or Dracula. Tales of the Abyss.
I'm not gonna lie, my best friend, Katie War, she actually played Silent Hill 3. I didn't know until then, but it's for the HD's collections. But, some real stuff, it actually really bring me back to Silent Hill 3. And, well, of course, Silent Hill 2 is actually gonna be a remake, so but only for that, I would gladly play Silent Hill throughout in 1, 2, and 3 because I guess it's actually more important than I thought. So yeah, but yeah.
Enemies!
Tales of the Abyss.
Bang like this!
It's a bit ludicrous how most of the Tales games are missing from modern hardware. Yes, we can all love Berseria and Arise all we want, but there are many other installments stranded on ancient platforms. Tales of the Abyss is the one game in the franchise we'd give anything to see ported over to PlayStation 5, as it boasted some of the most breathtaking visuals and compelling storytelling we had experienced in the PS2 days. And to this day, it has only ever been ported forward to one platform, the Nintendo 3DS. What gives, Bandai Namco? What is with you and the 3DS? Huh?
I just keep getting better.
God of War and God of War 2.
10 years ago, I have faithfully served the gods for 10 years. When will you relieve me of these nightmares?
It is an absolute crime that both of these games are not available on PlayStation 5. Yet. At the time of this video, the first two God of War games are playable on PS5, but only through their HD ports that were made for PlayStation 3. And like every other PlayStation 3 game, you can only play them through cloud streaming. Unacceptable. Perhaps the internal team responsible for PS5's emulators are already working on this, but Kratos' first adventures need to get on PS5 as soon as possible. With God of War becoming Sony's biggest first-party franchise in the company's history, preserving the games before 2018 and Ragnarok should be top priority. Let's just hope this franchise makes the jump before Kratos' 20th anniversary.
This path is of your choosing. A choice from the gods is as useless as the gods themselves.
Champions of Norrath.
I'm not gonna lie. They got to put it on here. God of War first and God of War 2. I played God of War 2 for the first time I ever noticed, and that was God of War 2 is my favorite, along with 3. And the only reason why, because yeah, I have so much experience about it. And I'm glad I played God of War Ragnarok for the longest time. And it does actually help me so far because of it. So I guess I understand why I might play God of War first one, because I haven't played the first one since I played God of War 2. And that's the only thing experience that I always loved, the PlayStation 2 experience that I ever played with me and my brothers. It does help me so far, so yeah.
Wrath, Realms of EverQuest. Alright, if no one is going to really advocate for this game, then we will. Before everybody lost their minds over Elder Scrolls and Baldur's Gate, we did have an action RPG on PlayStation 2 that was equally outstanding as those games. Champions of Norrath has been largely forgotten by both hardcore and casual PlayStation fans, and it is a crying shame. From the deep character customization to the thrilling combat to the wondrous environments, Champions of Norrath was basically Baldur's Gate 3 for the PS2. And Sony, guess what guys? You own this game! You do! Yes! You own EverQuest! Bring this to PS5, man! We need this game on PS5 while the RPG train is still blazing down the railway! What are you doing? Anyways, which PS2 game would you like to see added to PS5? Did it make our list? Let us know down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to Mojo Plays for more great videos every day.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, man. This whole thing, me, my whole experience that I ever miss playing back in PS2, and I am a PlayStation type of person, and you know, But the only thing is, I always played a lot of games from PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo as well. But the PlayStation had got me the most of it, and it's the only one that I ever played for me and my brother, and also my sister. I think she actually plays as well. But there's a lot of reasons that I want to bring it on the PS5, and there's a lot of reason about it because Dead Chill Fight for New York, along with Vendetta, Tekken 5, Urban Reign, Final Fight Street Rise, Beatdown Fist of Vengeance, oh, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix, along with the second one as well. Need for Speed, Most Wanted, Most Wanted, and the Underground, of course, and the rest of the WWE SmackDown vs. Raw. Well, they can only try to put it if they actually add it on the PS3. So I don't think it's gonna count. So let's say if they actually bring the WWE SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, Wrestling Kingdom, of course, Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3, of course, along with Sly Cooper, second and 3, and of course, Sonic Hero, one of my most favorite games, of course. I mean, there's a lot of reasons they actually gotta bring it to the PS5. It's actually more important thing, and I'll probably have to talk more about it next time if they actually need to bring it on the PS5. It's much more important. But the other thing that I would love to bring it back on the Xbox, Nintendo, and the others. So that's how it make me feel like if I actually bring every classic games, all the collections of the classic games, then I'll probably be able to make it my game rooms. With the colorful lights and all that type of stuff. And there's a lot of other things that I want to bring it back, and yeah, and like there are the most of them, so yeah. But yeah, man, I think that's gonna be it for today. Let me know, comment down below. Which PS2 you can choose a lot of things you want. Which one of the PS2 games that you want to bring it to the PS5, because there's a lot of reasons they're actually gonna put a lot of games to it. So yeah. But yeah, man, I think that's gonna be it for today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're new here. Click the bell notification down below in case you're new. And I will see y'all next time. This is Tyler signing out. Bye.